Fantasy Rap
with Austin and Ozzy.
Oh, I just love those boys.
Hey everyone, this is Fantasy Rap, and I'm your host Ozzy.
And I'm your co-host Austin.
You can find us on fantasyrap.com. That is fantasywrap.com. Hey everybody, welcome to our inaugural cast of the 2025 football season. I'm Ozzy.
And I'm Austin.
Hopefully, we're going to provide you with a lot of information. So we're looking at our rookies, and first, I think we'll start with. I mean, it was a pretty much normal draft. I mean, you saw some decent players go. I'm not.
We had the Jacksonville trade up to get Travis Hunter and choose their guy. So there was a little bit of drama there, but other than that, nothing too crazy.
No big trades throughout. So moving on. These are the top rookies in the standard format, starting with quarterbacks. Cam Ward, probably one of... Oh. Meant to take him out. Well, forget about Spencer Rattler. The only two that are probably going to start this year are Cam Ward and Tyler
Shuck. Yeah.
Shucks.
Yep.
I'm missing a C and a K in there. So, I mean, if you're looking to draft a rookie, I don't put a lot of faith in the quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, especially this year. I mean, Cam Ward, who knows? I mean, he's got a big arm, and, he put up some pretty good numbers at Miami. You got Calvin Ridley there. You got a couple rookies. You still got Okonkwo.
It's not a lot to like.
Yeah. But aside, he was the number one overall pick, so they're gonna let him. They're gonna let him swing it. So.
He is, and in Dynasty, his value is a lot higher.
Yeah.
But here, in a redraft league where he's probably going to come in at about 20 or so, depending upon how many teams are in your league.
Yep.
He's probably not a starter.
No,
for a fantasy team, unless in a 16-teamer, a bunch of quarterbacks go.
Yeah.
A couple people take two quarterbacks, and someone thinks, "Oh, Cam Ward."
Yeah, I mean, you take a shot on him, in something like that. But I think there'll be a couple games that you could stream him if you were that desperate.
Right.
I think that he'll be able to put up enough points to get you through a bye week or something, like that. If your roster is pretty locked and you're not able to drop, a lot of people or anything like that. So,
what do you think about Shuck?
I mean, there was some good and some bad in the preseason game last week.
I mean, the way it's ranked is Shuck and Rattler are maybe 2 or 3 picks away from each other.
Yeah.
I.e., we don't know who's starting.
Yep. Yeah.
We don't know who's going to get the early hook if that occurs.
Yeah, I think it'll be Shuck from the jump. They saw what they had with Rattler last year, and it was not good.
Right.
I mean, there was a play here and there, but as a whole, it looked pretty bad from Spencer Rattler. I mean, does he know the offense, better than Shuck because he's been there for a year? Yes, but it's just, I think they're just going to roll a Shuck and see what happens, and if they're in the running for Archie Manning next season.
He's not coming out next year.
Oh, he's not?
Nope.
Oh, well.
Rumor has it he's not coming out next year. He'll be staying until the following year.
Is that kid from LSU coming out next year?
Not sure.
I can't remember his name, but
So.
And
then moving on, we've got Jackson Dart, who right now is a dart throw. I mean, it would take an injury.
Yeah, it might not even take an injury if Russell plays as bad as in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Although, well...
I think Jackson Dart could end up... And if the Giants come out and they go... in the first 8 games, they're 2-6. I think they'll just switch and just call it a day, and just to see for sure what they have with him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the interesting thing is that, last year you sat there and you watched Russell struggle mightily, but yet Pittsburgh never wanted to put in Fields.
well, they started with Fields.
I get that, and they probably
had some time with Fields, and they were winning games.
yeah.
And then they
but
switched to
they would have had to have given
anyways.
up a higher draft pick
That's what it
if he
was,
made
yes.
X
Yeah.
number of
Yeah.
a percentage. So moving on, we've got our running backs. I have Ashton Genty as the number one.
Yeah, I mean, it would kind of be a lot of the same points. Well, for the standard and even into the PPR, I've got a little bit different. The running backs are the same for standard and PPR. Genty, there's just nobody else there.
Right.
They drafted him because they knew, he's going to be all three downs. Workhorse.
Exactly.
They're going to
Exactly.
run him into the ground.
Now they may tend to pay more attention to him. Although they have a decent quarterback.
Yeah,
They've got
yeah,
receivers.
Geno Smith, this year should, he's enough of a threat to, that the defense has to respect it.
Yeah.
And Brock Bowers, can open up a game, as well as any receiver can at
Right.
the tight end position. So, and they still have got, why can't I remember his name? Jacoby Myers.
Right,
Who is a good wide receiver. It's just he's not
a very good
flashy,
wide
and,
receiver.
he's just solid and consistent. So
Yep.
he kind of goes under the radar.
That team could be a lot different than we've seen out of the Raiders in the
O-line's
past.
still a little, so we'll see what happens.
But they've got some,
exactly, they've
to
got
move
some
in,
pieces.
to have a good running back and to have a quarterback, because they never knew who they were going to play.
Yeah.
So, next I have Omarion Hampton. Should
Yeah.
get a lot of work.
Yeah, and I think in the PPR with Hampton, I think him and Genty actually are going to finish very close this season in like points per game and the final. Where they end up at the final. They were RB 9 or 10 or something like that. I think they're going to be very close.
Gotcha.
Standard as well, because Hampton's
Oh, yeah.
the same way. He does everything really well.
Right.
He can catch the ball, he can run, he can pass block really nicely as well. He's a big guy. And then obviously all the stuff with Najee Harris with his eye in the 4th of July incident.
Right.
He just posted a picture, a week ago or something, and he
Eye is still missing.
Yeah, it looked like he couldn't even open it. So there's a good chance. If Najee misses the first 2 weeks,
You think they would have learned from
JPP.
JPP?
Yeah, yeah. But if Najee misses, I think.
Or is that a
just
thumb and a
takes it.
forefinger? Or
I don't
something?
know
remember.
what it was.
Lost
but
2-3 fingers.
yeah, if Najee misses, I think Hampton just takes over that from
Yeah.
week 1 even, and it's maybe more of a 70-30 split whenever Najee does come back. They will use him when he's back because he's he is a vet. Keep some mileage off of Hampton.
Right.
And I think the Chargers are going to surprise a lot this year. I hope Herbert can kind of get back to what he was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Was it like 2 or 3 years ago when he had like 40 plus touchdowns and yards and everything. So and they brought in the other rookie that they drafted was Trey Harris, wide receiver. He's good, big talent guy. Good receiver as well. Quentin Johnston still can't seem to figure out how to catch a ball, but he's still
Right.
there.
Sounds like the entire Packer receiving corps.
Yeah. So, I think all things considered, and then the Chargers, they lost Rashawn Slater, for the season, which sucks, but that is still a very good O-line.
Yeah.
Regardless, you got Joe Alt on the other side. I think he's moving to left tackle. I saw, and then they're bringing who is behind,
Next man up.
whatever, over to the right tackle.
Right.
So it's still a solid old line. So to me, Genty and Hampton are very close.
Yep. Next up, we've got Trevion Henderson.
Man, he looked really good, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
First NFL touch.
Yep.
100 yards or 90 something yards to the
97 or
house.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like him. I'm kind of, I don't know how much they're going to share there.
Yeah, I mean, well,
And-
they paid Ramondre a bunch of money, 2 seasons ago now?
Yeah.
Or the season before last. So.
And I mean, yes, Bill Belichick is gone, so I don't know if they're going to run that. I mean, in the past, having a New England running back was, I have no idea if he's going to even play this
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, and then you'd get a 40-point game out of James White.
Right, right.
Or like Danny Woodhead when he was there
Yeah.
for like a season or
Yeah,
two.
you just
which is
had no
post a
idea
monster
who was
game.
going to play.
Yeah.
So, maybe I think Travion is the future, but Ramondre is still going to get some.
Yeah, like I said, they
some
paid him a
carries.
lot of money, Ramondre. So he's
Right.
going to be there. We'll see I don't know what the contract details are, if next season they're going to, cut ties and, that or
Maybe they trade him
him
still.
or something, I mean, and obviously, like I said, Travion looked really good in his preseason debut. Ramondre also looked very good. Had some juice still. And,
Well,
and he's a
Ramondre,
good,
he's still fairly young.
yeah.
I mean,
he's
what is he?
probably 26,
26,
27 maybe?
yeah.
So, and that's another team that's to me, seems like they're on the upswing with that offense. You get a second-year Drake May, you get the other rookie Kyle Williams in there. So got Hunter Henry who can post big games. They're starting to me, and they got Stephon Diggs, who I think is actually pretty undervalued because he's been doing all the he's had all the injury stuff
And
the
whining.
whatever. Yeah, that too. But I think a lot of these teams, it seems like a lot of the teams that have been bad lately are starting to kind of on
Yeah,
the upswing. Which makes the league better as a whole. But I think that
There are just a
it's
couple
a
of teams that
surprise.
I'd like to, come down
Yeah.
some. Two in particular.
Yeah.
The two that were in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Caleb Johnson
Yeah. Iowa running back.
going into a good position.
I mean, they got Jalen Warren there. They seem to love him, even though he's had a couple flashes here and there, but seems to always be banged up and
Never prolonged success.
Yeah, it doesn't deliver consistently enough to warrant the number one job. So I think Johnson. I mean, even in a standard league, you take him. I think he's going in like between the 5th and 7th round. It kind of depends on the format.
Again, right.
It
mean,
kinda
maybe
depends on the
10 or
format.
12.
Yeah. But yeah,
I mean, in
your,
a six-
your big league.
In a 16-team, two running back
he's
league, he'll
probably
probably
third-
be in the second or
second
third round.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you got to remember that
Yep.
usually all 32 starting running backs have been drafted
In the
by
first
the end of the third round.
Yeah. Yep.
So-
but yeah, I mean, he's a good back. Had a great career in Iowa. He has a little trouble catching the ball sometimes. That looks a little unnatural. But they'll figure that out, and they added DK Metcalf to the. Obviously you lose George Pickens, but you add DK Metcalf. They brought in Jonnu Smith. So they've got a whole host of tight ends, that can, between him and Freiermuth that can, open up that middle a little bit more, be a threat. But that kind of hinges on Aaron Rodgers too.
Exactly.
We'll see.
And we all have an opinion on him. Next up, I've got R.J. Harvey. Interesting situation he's walking into. Who do they have left?
Well, they have J.K. Dobbins. They brought him back in.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it might have been either after the draft. I think they brought in J.K. Dobbins, and seems like in camp and preseason, Dobbins has been the number one, with Harvey coming in, to be the third down back or change of pace or whatever.
Poor J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, those knees and
Yeah,
did
I
he
mean,
have a foot
He
too.
he doesn't deserve what he's gone through. So
Yeah.
I would love to see him have a decent season, but the reality
Full
is that
season would be nice.
the
'Cause he
reality
he has
is
stretches where he's
right.
insane.
Yeah.
And then
But
he gets hurt.
If he gets hurt, R.J. Harvey is there to take
Yep.
over.
Yeah, they still have Audric Estime, I believe, is
Yeah.
there. I think that's a big dude, running the ball too.
Right.
And Sean Payton, being the head coach there, loves using essentially a committee. You know, you go back to the awesome years of Kamara and Mark Ingram,
Yep.
both being top running backs, you
Right.
know, on the same offense. So
Right.
he's trying to, almost seems like he's trying to recreate that in Denver. And, you know, you get a second-year Bo Nix who surprised a lot of people last year. You know, Cortland Sutton still. You know, you got other receivers in there as well too. You
Yeah.
know, they've
Yeah,
got
the,
quite a
the,
few.
the
but-
15 or so.
Yeah, you know, so
Of which I've got a couple in our dynasty league.
yeah,
So
yeah.
hopefully they see the field. Moving on to our wide receivers, I've got Ted McMillan,
Yeah.
T-Mac.
Yeah, I mean, immediately is the number one in Carolina. You know, I think, well, Adam Thielen's old. He'll still see some. I think he'll see a decent amount of targets. You know, he's it's just that he's old. He's old, reliable. You
Right.
know, I mean, was it last season or the season before? Are we on the
2
third
years
year of Bryce
two
Young?
years ago, he was huge.
like the number one receiver for the first
Yeah,
3 weeks.
yeah.
You know, so they've got some weapons there. Leggett, that's who I can never, for whatever reason, I couldn't remember his
Xavier
name.
Leggett.
Yeah, you know, they tried him out to be their number one, and you know, he just wasn't a number one.
No.
I think he'll be a great number
Played
two.
kind of
next
like
to-
number two.
Yeah, I think he'll be a great number two next to McMillan here.
Yeah.
So, you know, but it all hinges on if Bryce Young can take another step forward from
Right.
what we saw at the end, because he looked really good at the end of last
He did.
year.
He did.
And
That
then,
benching,
you know-
I think, was good for him.
Yes, yeah, I think they definitely, that was a smart move, one of few smart moves by Carolina.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so
Next up, I've got Travis Hunter. I like Travis Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
My worry is if they decide to let him play both ways.
yeah, it seems like he will play primarily, you know, wide receiver.
Right.
In the preseason game, they did have him out there on defense, you know. So
They
I
did.
think there'll be some packages and stuff for defense that they'll have him out there. I mean, he is really good at both positions. You know, if he was the true, just a wide receiver. Granted, he was drafted before T-Mac because of the trade up.
Well,
Yeah.
and
But
because he can play
was-
both ways.
Exactly. But I'm saying if he was just a receiver, he still may have gone before T-Mac. Because, I mean, even
Maybe.
with Shador in Colorado, I mean, Travis Hunter made Shador Sanders look better than what he probably
Oh, yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Which I think Shador could end up being a decent NFL quarterback. It's just there's a lot of outside stuff going on with him that makes him unappealing to pretty much everybody.
Right.
But you know, Travis Hunter, like I said, made him look really good, made him look really good at times in Colorado. Hunter carried that team a lot. You know, like I said, crazy talent, but again, yeah, you worry about burnout. You know, just trying
Yeah,
to
the
focus
physicality.
to do too many things
Right.
at
The
once,
physicality
you know.
needed to play a professional football game
Yeah.
week to week, then add in, I'm going to play defense too.
Yeah, and
And not just-
he's a thin guy too. You
Yeah.
know, he's not a big
Right.
dude, so you do worry about the like you said, the physicality and being
Right.
able to take all of that punishment.
Right, right. Next up, I've got Matthew Golden. And Matthew Golden is going to need to show out because from what I've seen of the Packers receivers so far, horrible.
Yeah, that preseason game was ugly.
I mean, you talk about a case of the dropsies.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually embarrassing. I mean, how you can? I think out of the first 5 passes, 4 were dropped.
yeah. Yep.
Can't happen.
Yeah.
And finally, you know, they threw one to Golden. Golden makes the play, and it's like we got to see more of that.
I think, I mean, we've got, you still got Dobbs, and you still got Watson, and you still got...
But Watson will be out for the majority of the year.
And,
Jaden Reed,
who's
who's injured right now.
And he's, that it's not really Jaden Reed's fault because the Packers do use him very weird, where it's
Right.
like 1 week he's the offense, and then, or even on a drive, he's the offense, and then the next he's standing on the sideline and they're not doing anything,
Yeah.
with him. And he's really talented. I mean, you can see it in games. Super talented. Like week 1 with the Eagles, where he went nuts,
Yeah.
down in Brazil.
Yep.
I think some of that was due to that field being like butter and you couldn't really cut, so he kind of used that to his advantage
Sliced
a little
instead of
bit.
cut.
Yeah.
Sliced like
Yeah.
butter.
Yeah. I think Golden honestly is gonna probably by week 3 or 4 end up being our number one.
Yeah. I would tend to agree. I'm hoping.
Yeah, you saw some of the highlights coming out of camp. You heard some of the things, big bomb touchdowns. Again, it's camp, but they're going full speed. So, and full speed. I mean, he's super fast and good hands, and
Yeah, I did. The thing that got me is you've got him that he can run deep routes, and yet we throw Musgrave down the middle on a 45-yard pass. Never mind. Next up, I've got Luther Burden III.
This is where we differ from our standard in my PPR
Okay.
rankings. So, yeah.
You have Emeka?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. So Burden, it all hinges on what we see out of if Caleb Williams can actually read the field.
Yeah.
He struggled last year.
I think even then, there's so many
Mouths to feed.
targets, mouths to feed in that offense because he brought in Loveland as well.
Yep.
At whatever 10 overall, he was like the number 10 or something like that. Pick
Something
they
like
took
that.
him over Tyler Warren. But Colson Loveland, like I said, he plays all over the field too. That's what he did in Michigan. I mean,
Well,
he was lining up outside, slot,
and
they
they've got
used him
more,
everywhere.
and they've got
Aduns,
Odunze.
yeah. So there's a lot to go around there, but
well, there are 4 potential quality receivers there. Are they all going to get enough?
yeah.
Or is it going to open it up for, the coverage is going to be heavier on Odunze and Moore,
Yeah.
and Loveland and Burden are open.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and Burden, he fell in the draft.
Yeah, he did.
Because I think he had, was it Burden that had like the one good year last year in college, I think it was, and before that was basically nothing.
Gotcha.
He like tripled his yardage in his like junior senior year or whatever it was at Missouri than the previous years. So I think that's why he fell a bit, and I think there was some injury concern too because he missed some of camp. I can't remember if it was a foot or a knee or something like that. So he slid in the draft, and the Bears took him, and again it was one of those. It was like, okay. You got some other holes to fill, on that team, but
but they went out.
best available.
They went out free agent to get a whole new offensive line for
using
the
their
most part.
platinum card.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, they had plenty of money to spend,
Yeah.
so why not?
Yep.
Next up, I have Egbuka.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, he was a standout in college.
Yeah, I mean he
But
wasn't to the
Ohio
level-
State. I mean,
yeah,
wide receiver.
yeah. Ohio State standards, he was not at the same level as your Olave, your Marvin Harrison.
Well, who has ever been at the level of
Well, true.
Harrison?
Yes, but Ibuka is a solid, good receiver I think he's going to be really consistent. Chris Godwin's in jeopardy of missing time to start the seain as well.
I was not aware of that.
They still got McMillan, Jalen McMillan, I believe is his name, who didn't put up like big yardage games, but he had like a stretch run of touchdown weeks, like 7 weeks in a row. So he scored a lot of touchdowns. And then obviously still got Mike Evans there.
Right.
And then Bucky and Sean Tucker, Rashad White, Kate Otten too. So
old Sean Tucker. No, that's wrong.
yeah,
Said that last year, too.
Again, kind of similar to Burden. There's quite a few miles to go, to feed there.
Yeah.
But I think Tampa Bay should be a top 8 offense this year. I think they're going to be really good again.
Yep.
And Ibuka was kind of like Burden when they took him. He was best available where they had other needs
Right.
that they could have drafted in that spot.
Right.
So
moving on to our tight ends, we'll just kind of move through these fairly quickly because, outside of Loveland and Warren, I don't, maybe Arroyo, I don't see a lot of, I don't see any of these guys being a top 5 tight end.
Yeah,
I mean, this year.
True, yes. Obviously, you're looking dynasty ahead. You know, Loveland and Warren are up there.
Right.
You know, so
Mainly because of age and ability. But in a redraft, I don't,
Yeah.
and I should have, probably written down where I had them ranked overall, but I don't, I think in a 16 team non-PPR league, Loveland and Warren will be starters
Yeah.
for 2 of the teams.
yeah,
Possibly
I think,
Arroyo.
Yeah, I think even in like next weekend, we've got my main league redraft draft, and honestly, I could see. I think Tyler Warren is going to be a starter on somebody's roster, and that's a 10 team. That's
Yeah.
just a 10 team.
Yep.
It's full point PPR. I think Warren will end up being a starter. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If I punt tight end position, I really like Tyler Warren. I think he's going to be good no matter who the quarterback is in Indy. Like I said, especially PPR. That's why I have those 2 flipped, because I just think Loveland will have a game, a couple games here or there, but it's just there's so much going on in Chicago that it's going to be tough for
and
him
it's
to be.
it's
consistent.
always so hard to rely on a tight end.
Yep.
I mean, we know that.
Yep.
So let's move on to our top rookies in PPR.
Yep. So yeah, Cam Ward, obviously, Tyler Shook. I put in Jackson Dart, just because I think, like I said, if the Giants come out and they're just flat, and like I said, they go 2-6.
What are they
1-7.
paying? I mean,
Russ, I don't know. Well, they also they have Jameis on the roster too.
Yeah.
I believe they might have. They still got Danny DeVito.
and Tommy's younger brother.
Yeah. So, and they took Dart. Where they took him too. He's got some. He's got good draft capital. So I think, like I said, if they come out and they're losing games to start the season, and if Russ is playing bad, I think they just eat that and they just switch it.
But it's New York. I mean, I would hate to throw a rookie in and have his confidence ruined because of the fans there.
yeah, I mean, yes, that's a good point because it happens a lot.
It does. It
Yeah.
does.
But
I
Jackson
mean,
Dart's-
one of the worst places to admit that you're a football player from.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we're kind of seeing a trend over the last 2-3 seasons, even where these quarterbacks coming out are multi-year. They're older quarterbacks coming out of college. Like you look at Jake
yeah.
Daniels.
Yeah.
He was a 5-year or 6-year, whatever. Some of that's because of COVID.
Right.
Being in there. But you're seeing these guys coming out older, more mature. Like a Bo
Sure.
Nix. He played on like 4 different college teams and played well for him. He was
Right.
at Auburn and Oregon, and he might have been somewhere else too before that. So you're seeing these guys coming out older and more mature and more experienced in that realm.
Right.
Whereas you look like an Anthony Richardson, who really started a year or 2 at Miami.
Oh, he was
or
pretty
when-
mature.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to take this play.
Exactly. Yeah. He had. There's like that crazy stat where he had only thrown the ball in game like 700 times from like his high school to
Wow.
when he graduated
Wow.
or got into the league or something. Like
Well,
it was something
but
crazy.
More of a running quarterback.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, I like Dart.
Yep.
Obviously, I mean PPR. Obviously, he's going to go undrafted because he's not the starter. So, but if something were to happen to Russ or something like that,
I have a feeling that's the funny thing is in our 16 teamer,
Yeah.
he may be the handcuff
Yeah.
for Russ.
Yeah.
I don't know why you do that because I mean I don't like either of them.
Yeah.
I mean they have a couple of good players,
Yeah.
a wide receiver
Yeah.
and a running back. So
Yeah.
moving on to our running backs, I mean you
the same as
had it
the
exactly
standard.
the same.
Yeah.
So
Like I said, I think in the PPR format, I do believe that Genty and Hampton are going to be very close. Obviously, Hampton you can get in, like I think he's going like in PPR. Like I've been seeing him creeping up into like the end of the third, because of the Najee, with the, if he misses time, it's going
Right.
to be Hampton's job.
Right.
Um,
And then if he's doing well,
Yeah.
are they going to take it away from him?
Yep, and then Genty, you're looking end of the first round, early second is when he's going. So there's a little bit of price difference there. Where if you wanted somebody who could get close to Genty, and say you wanted to take that like a Nico Collins round one, towards the end, if he's there, and then hit something like a running back, and you get Hampton with that set. You get say you get Jacobs on the coming back around, so you go Nico, Josh Jacobs, and Hampton. That's a pretty damn good start. So
Yeah,
But
In our league, I have a feeling he'll be top 8.
yeah, probably.
So he'll be at the first half of the first round.
Yeah.
So wide receivers.
Yep.
You have the first 3 the same,
Yep.
the 5th one the same, but
Yep.
you
Jaden Higgins. Yep. Receiver for the Texans. He's basically a Nico clone. He's tall like Nico. He's fast, good hands. He's a big bodied receiver as well. And they needed him. They needed somebody else out there. Obviously, had Diggs leave. Tank Dell's. Who knows if he ever plays again with how nasty those last 2 injuries that he's had,
Yeah.
which is a shame because he's such a fun player to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah, he is.
I think Higgins, they brought in Christian Kirk as well, who sometimes when he was in Jacksonville was a very good fantasy asset, very good. So he'll be playing more of the slot. And Higgins moved everywhere in college too. He did play the slot as well. He was outside, doing all these other things. But I think obviously the main focus is going to be Nico Collins because he's just that good. So I think he's actually going to have a very good rookie season. And that's if Stroud bounces back, which I hope he does, because as
I think it
much
was
as
the
I don't
sophomore
like
jinx.
him, I don't like Ohio State. I like CJ Stroud, so I hope that he gets back to it.
What's not to like about Ohio State?
Yeah, the Ohio State. Come on.
So moving on to your tight ends,
Yep.
pretty much the same as mine, other than Warren and Colston.
Yeah. So I think Warren is going to be pretty much QB. I think he's going to be Brock Bowers light this year. I think he's going to be that rookie tight end that could finish in the top 3, potentially even.
Interesting.
Say the Niners fall apart and Kittle doesn't have that great of a year. I think it could be.
That's highly likely, right?
Yeah. It could be Bowers, McBride, and Tyler Warren. I think he's just that good. That's why it was, like I said, when the Bears took Loveland over Warren,
You were
was
surprised.
It shocked everybody too,
Yeah.
because Loveland is a good tight end.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think Loveland just fits what Ben Johnson. He's that Laporta-esque tight end that he can move around and use and do all sorts of things with. Where Warren is kind of more of that, end of the line, maybe split a little, like a slot, split off a little bit, stuff like that. But yeah, so.
Yep. So let's move on to our rookies in dynasty format. This gives you an idea based on a dynasty draft where they're going. I mean, quarterbacks generally, when a quarterback comes out, Caleb was pretty high.
Well, yeah.
Although I guess it's hard to do it that way because we're looking at a redraft or not a redraft, an initial draft of a dynasty league.
Startup, yeah.
So if you're starting up, these rookies are not that valuable.
No. Yeah.
This is showing you, unless you're playing a
Superflex.
Superflex.
Yeah.
These guys aren't even.
Then that's you're on
the back end of it.
Yeah, like a Milrow. Like I said, we're just very briefly talking before this. Like I think Milrow. If Darnold comes out and does what he did in Carolina, where he was great for 3 games and then absolutely horrible after that, and they switched to Milrow. Milrow might not be the most refined passer, but his rushing ability
Right.
is off the charts. And like a Justin Fields, where if you're getting 80 yards a game and a touchdown, or a Lamar, where you're getting that rushing alone, it just boosts that number that you don't have to rely. You don't need him to throw 350 and 3.
Right.
He can throw, 260 and 1 or 2, but then if he adds another
Oh, yeah.
50 to 80 rushing yards and a touchdown, you're still fine.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah. Moving on to our running backs, we've got Genty going third overall at running back in a fresh draft.
Yeah.
It's pretty high.
Well,
But-
it's the youth, it's the talent, it's, I would assume probably running back, the top startup running back would probably be Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, either Gibbs or
Bucky? No,
no,
Bucky wouldn't be
no.
high.
I was looking at it. I can't remember. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I like him.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted him in our fantasy our
rookie
dynasty
draft.
rookie draft.
Yep.
Didn't get him. Didn't get Hampton. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
those guys went 1 and 2.
Well, you could have been like me and got Quinshon Judkins
Yeah.
a week and a half before he was that's why he's not on there.
Oh yeah.
If
yeah.
he was, he would be right
Well-
below or tied with Travion if he hadn't have been an idiot. But,
yeah, he'd be in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's the same list that we've had
Mm-hmm.
on both of the other ones. You can see, these guys are long-term gems.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these guys are the guys that are.
Well, Harvey will be interesting because he is actually old. There are some starting running backs that have been in the league for 2 years
That are younger than him.
younger than RJ Harvey. So,
Yeah.
but again, yes, if something were to happen to Dobbins, even in next year, because Dobbins is like kind of a 1-year rental.
Right.
I mean, yes, immediately, yes, Harvey is. Is going to be, I think, very, very good.
Yep.
But it's just you're not looking as long of a career potentially because he's starting so late
Right.
compared to like a Genty,
So moving into our wide receivers, other than Igbuka moving up to third overall, long-term having more value, I mean, you can see that Tet and Travis are, neck and neck.
Yeah, pretty much.
As are the other three, pretty much. There's some delineation, but there are still great receivers out there. But you want youth, and and I wish I would have gotten Tet in our league fell to pick 8,
Yeah.
and I had Travion at 4, and I had the 9 pick.
I think I took
And I ended up-
Quinshon at 6 or 7, I believe.
And I took Caleb Johnson because Tet went right before, because I was taking Tet.
Yep. Yeah, I got Tet at pick 4 in the rookie draft in my other league. So, yeah,
Kind of
took
high.
him over. Well, yeah, it was between. Well, I was
Who went before him?
Hampton.
But I mean, is Ward, Genty, and Hampton?
No, it was Genty. Travis, the second guy took Travis Hunter.
Oh, wow.
At 2,
And then
it
Amari.
went Hampton and Tet,
Tet.
and I was gonna take between Tet and Hampton. Those were the two for me, the only two options there.
Well, yeah, you had better.
But once Hampton went, then I started kind of eyeing Travion because I do need running back help in that league. But I was like, I've got Devontae Adams and Mike Evans on that roster as well, and they're starting to, at some point they're going to age out and it's going to fall off. So I was like, well, just get the rookie this year and pair him with my Puka, Malik Neighbors, and Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah. Well, now you know why I went Travion
Yeah.
and Caleb, because I've got CMC, Kamara.
Yeah.
I mean,
Some old
I've got
guys.
some
Yeah.
old guys. So I needed some youth.
Yep.
Moving on to our tight ends, again, not a whole lot different than what we were looking at.
Yep.
Warren, a little bit better than Loveland. Both up there.
Yeah.
But, again, there are guys who are not a whole lot older that provide enough value to still be drafted before them.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, even with a startup dynasty draft, which I actually haven't done one. I've only inherited the two dynasty teams.
Next year we'll be doing one.
All right, there you go. You heard it here. So but just doing research and obviously kind of common sense too. Yes, it's dynasty, so you want to have the youth and the talent there, but you also can't overlook studs right now.
Right.
You got to try and find that good happy medium where you're getting that where, like you said, that's why you ended up taking Travion and Caleb Johnson, because you're looking at in the rookie draft, where if you're just in the startup, you see CMC still there.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, oh boy, could this be the last year or two, because he's 29 and had all the had the
Is he
injuries.
29?
Yeah. Had the injuries and
and
who knows what's going on.
I traded a lot of capital away for him, and I've had him for 3 years.
Yeah.
And he's helped me finish. What have I been?
Well,
First 2 years ago, second last year. I think I was. Wasn't I first or second?
I wasn't in the league before that.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's been carrying me, and this year he could have a great year.
Yeah. Good.
Hopefully, I'll still be able to get something for him at the end of the year.
Yeah. I mean, you got a pretty solid roster. I mean, like I said, that in our dynasty league, for the most part, that league's pretty solid. There's some good rosters. There's roster. I mean, obviously, the number one guy, just insane roster before we got into the league. Yours is good. Isaac's is really good. I think.
Yeah, Isaac has built his up really well. You've done a pretty good job.
I think if I hit a good year here, I think my roster can compete, and that's really what it takes.
Well, and so much of it is luck. Yeah. I mean, with pick 10, who did I select last year? Brian Thomas Jr.
Oh yeah.
Brian Thomas Jr. was the top non-QB rookie in fantasy last year. And, it just so happened that, would I have liked to have taken Marvin Harrison? Absolutely. But I ended up with a better player, at least for last year. I'm not saying long term. Yep. But that's the thing. You get a guy and he starts performing out of his mind, and things can happen. Yep. And it's like I tell people when I'm trading, I put so little faith in the draft, because you can pick a Harrison at 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think I got him at 3.
And not have any value out of it. Well, I mean, yes, he had a couple of good weeks, but
value, but it was
he does. But I mean,
the thing with Harrison was the expectation was,
this guy's going to walk onto the field and he's going to be better than just about anybody out there.
He's going to be tied or better than Jamar Chase.
Right.
That was the expectation. And he came out and had a very solid rookie. I mean, it was a little up and down.
Yeah.
But overall, you just look at his season stats.
Because he had like a 2-touchdown game, didn't he?
He had had multiple, I think, 2 touchdowns. He had a couple 2 touchdowns. But yeah. But you look, like I said, overall, you look at it and you're like, that's a good rookie season. Above average rookie season, but because of
but Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. both had far better years.
Yeah,
and that's with the offenses that they were in.
Well, Malik Neighbors was getting 50 targets a game, so
I get that, and I had him in my 16 teamer. He was one of the last players I took.
Yeah.
He was a flyer. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going Malik. And people are like, do you know what offense he's in? Yeah, I do. But what if he turns into Malik Neighbors?
Yeah, look at his college tape and look at what else is on that roster. So,
yep. So that's all we've got for this week. We are going to probably put together some information as far as our top 5 or 10 picks at each position, and we'll email it out to the subscribers, and I'll also post it on the website. And as you can see, the website is www.fantasywrap.com.
WRAP.
WRAP. And you can see that you can either email myself or Austin.
I will
At
definitely check that this year. I never checked it.
I checked it all the time, so
Never did.
I knew when it was coming. So hopefully you guys have questions for us. I would throw my cell number on here, but then I might get some weird calls in the middle of the night. Hey, Oz, I need to play somewhat. What are you talking about?
That would definitely be Nick Muska.
Yeah. My buddy Nick, well,
Yeah.
his buddy Nick.
Yeah.
I call him my buddy
Yeah.
because whenever he has a fantasy question, he contacts me and asks me, and I'm more than willing to help. I
Yeah.
love, and Nick knows it. I
Yeah.
love talking football.
Yep.
So the fact that someone actually values my opinion. Because I've been married for 37 years and no, she values my opinion. So that's all we've got for this week. I am Ozzy.
And I'm Austin.
Have a great week.
See ya.